I have a math equation for you. What happens when you add one full moon in Taurus, 3 planets moving into new signs, and 1 planet shifting directions? You get a packed, eventful, dare I say, chaotic week of astrology, which is exactly what we are covering in today's episode of Magic Monday, covering the cosmic events from November 3rd to November 9th, 2025, and true to Magic Monday form, honing in on how it is that you can co-create with the cosmos, how it is that you can leverage this week's horoscope and every week's horoscope in order to experience more magic, alignment, and flow, working with the astrology as a tool. And if you tune into Magic Monday, if you regularly meet me here in the cosmic corner of the internet, you know I keep it pretty optimistic. I believe there's always a bright side. I believe there's always a silver lining that we can find, a positive way that we could work with astrology. We got to keep it positive, right? We've got Mercury in Sagittarius as well as Mars entering Sagittarius, a very optimistic, growth-oriented sign. But I do have to keep it real with you and say that 3 planets are taking a turn for the worst this week. And worse is, of course, subjective, but essentially 2 planets are losing their dignity. And this Sunday, November 9th, Mercury stations retrograde. Let's break this down. Starting with Venus, the planet of love, beauty, pleasure, who has been sitting pretty in her rulership of Libra. Now she gets off her Libran throne of harmony, of beauty, which, true to Libran fashion, probably has roses all around it, to take a dip into the underworld. She shifts into the passionate depths of Scorpio, which is a call to be transformed by what and who we love, to merge with who and what we are devoted to experience the vitality that comes from releasing the old and feeling the space that it opens up to call in something new. It can be an incredibly potent transit, but comfortable it is not, especially with Venus promptly squaring off with Pluto as soon as it dips into the scorpionic waters. And Venus is not the only planet that's moving out of a space of dignity. Mars moves from its rulership of Scorpio, where it was able to be its biggest, baddest self, its shrewdest, most strategic self, and moves into the mutable flames of Sagittarius. Now, this is peregrine, which basically means dignity-wise, it is not necessarily extraordinarily well-placed like it is in Scorpio, and is not poorly placed like it would be in Taurus or Libra or Cancer. It's neutral, but it still is shifting out of territory where it's thriving, and now it's going to this more so neutral space. And really the call with Mars and Sagittarius is that we want to feel free. We want to be able to roam. We want to be able to invite in a spirit of adventure, whether that is through traveling, whether that is by learning, whether that is just by not being told what to do, what to believe, or who to be. There's definitely a rebellious energy with this week's astrology, with Mars and Sagittarius promptly opposing Uranus and Gemini. If anyone tries to tell you what to do, there's a strong likelihood this week that you're going to feel all the more tempted to do the opposite. Yes, Venus and Scorpio wants depth and loyalty and devotion. I will get a tattoo to you to prove my undying love, but don't you dare tell me what to do. Or that I cannot go on this adventure that I want to go on, or do what it is that I desire to do. There's definitely a call for freedom at this moment with 2 planets in Sagittarius. One of which being Mercury, who is also not positioned very well dignity-wise. Mercury does not thrive in Sagittarius. It's a bit too philosophical. It's a bit too big picture for Mercury's liking. And with Mercury stationing retrograde this Sunday in the sign of its detriment, there is a strong likelihood that you could experience some wires getting crossed, some miscommunication, some technical difficulties, some travel delays with Mercury starting its retrograde journey in Sagittarius, as well as a review from the past, potentially even a return of something from the past. Sagittarius is an energy that likes to keep it going, keep it pushing, but with Mercury retrograde, there could be a mental inclination around wanting to complete the incomplete, finish off loose ends. One of those loose ends is Uranus finishing its journey in Taurus. Uranus has been in Taurus on and off since 2018. And this week, Uranus, the planet of innovation and rebellion, shifts back into Taurus to finish out this transit until Uranus really settles into Gemini, a transit that we will experience until 2033. So there's also an ask, like with Mercury retrograde, potentially reviewing the past, and with Uranus shifting back into Taurus, contemplating how it is that you have shifted and evolved and innovated since 2018, potentially in the Taurus territory of your life. How is it that you have defied expectations? How is it that you have pushed away convention, how it is that you have shaken things up or experienced some ups and downs, experienced some upsets in that arena of your life. And that's playing out personally when it comes to the Taurus territory of your chart, as well as any planets that you have Taurus within. This could have been a massive change of awakening and discovery and change, but also collectively, like Uranus is a planet that is around innovation and rebellion. And with Uranus and Taurus, since 2018, there could be a review around how money has shifted and gone through so many ups and downs, food, nature, these Taurus themes, which is particularly spotlighted this week because smack dab in the middle of the week, amidst all of these changing and shifting planets entering into new signs, returning back into old signs, shifting directions, we have a full moon, which turns up the heat, turns up the emotion, turns up the busyness. It's important to acknowledge that within the cosmos currently, a lot of the planets are in fire and water. And what do you get when you put water and fire together? You get steam. It's a very passionate week. I mean, we have both the passion planets shifting into new signs, into very passionate signs out that. So definitely people are heated up. They're fired up about what they love, what they care about, what they believe in with the Sagittarius energy. And with the full moon, it turns up the emotional dial on everything. We tend to feel things more intensely during full moon weeks. Our weeks tend to be quite busy. The good news is about this full moon is that while there's a lot of chaotic influences transpiring this week, the full moon does feel like a little bit more of a grounding, stabilizing force, more so than any other full moons would be. The moon is exalted in Taurus. It'll be a little bit of earth in the cosmos amidst all of this water and fire, a little bit of stabilization, where of course there's elements that are outside of our control. There's elements that are changing and shifting and rearranging. There's arenas of our lives as well as humanity that we want changed within. That's all acknowledged this week. But the full moon in Taurus is around, even though things are busy, things are intense, I'm feeling intensely, there's an energy around how can I ground into the right now? What can I do right now? Even if it's just anchoring into what provides a sense of comfort or safety right now, knowing that things are transpiring, knowing that things are shifting, but knowing that I need a soothed nervous system in order to shift and change along with them. So even if you're not a math person, you can see that all of the additions that we are making this week, it's going to be an eventful week. And of course, I've got you covered on everything that you need to know about it. Before we dive in, with a week of astrology like this, you know, we need to serve up something strong to navigate it. So take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week, to end your week whenever you are listening. I am currently drinking an iced Americano. Typically, I like to put some almond milk in there, but it just felt appropriate with Venus shifting into mysterious, deep Scorpio this week. Just take my Americano black, not put any creamer in there, and it's delightful. Getting down with the scorpionic energy. Let me know if you're also feeling that within your beverage selection today. And I am so over the moon, over the Taurus full moon at that, to announce that we are starting something called Galactic Givebacks here in the cosmic corner of the internet. You know me, I can't resist a catchy name. Some may say a corny name. But what Galactic Givebacks is, it's something that I always do personally every November. But this year I felt really inspired to open it up, to share it with my community and with my channel. What we will do is that through the next 3 weeks, so this week's Magic Monday, next week's Magic Monday, and the following week's Magic Monday, we will be spotlighting a different nonprofit organization, a different charity. The proceeds of Magic Monday will go to support that charity. And by proceeds, just to define that, it's essentially the revenue that is generated from AdSense, which is essentially the ads on my YouTube videos. That will go to support a different nonprofit organization for the next 3 weeks called Galactic Givebacks. So not only are you getting dialed in on the astrological energies that you're navigating, but you can also feel good about helping other individuals in various causes. And my brain almost exploded this morning trying to decide which nonprofit organization I wanted to spotlight first. There's just so many causes and people and issues that are so close to my heart, and something that I feel so inspired around wanting to help with that I felt overwhelmed trying to pick just one for this first week. But when in doubt, I did what I always do, which is I looked at the astrology, and with a full moon in Taurus, it felt appropriate this week to hone in on organizations that help with hunger. This week's featured organization is World Central Kitchen, which is devoted to essentially essentially mobilizing efforts to feed individuals who have been affected by crises all over the world. So at the time being, and again, this may have shifted and changed by the time Magic Monday goes live, but in the time of recording, a lot of their efforts are focused on feeding those who are affected by the hurricane in Jamaica, sending supplies ahead of time, feeding individuals in the US who have been affected by the shutdown, feeding individuals in Lebanon and Gaza. So if this is an organization that is also near and dear to your heart, I'm going to drop the link below if you also feel called to donate. I completely understand that some people may not have the ability to give, and there's no pressure whatsoever. Even just being here, watching the ads, you are going to feed individuals who are hungry and who are affected by crises currently. I would also really encourage getting involved with your local food bank as well, donating, volunteering. Your efforts can go so far. And I know a lot of times we can feel overwhelmed by how much needs change in the world with all of these Uranus aspects this week. And it can just feel like a drop in the bucket, your efforts, your donations. But it's knowing that this is how it is that we mobilize change. This is how it is that we help humans. So I'm so excited for Galactic Givebacks. What I would love to do, if you could comment below organizations that are very near and dear to your heart, organizations that are trusted, where the money donated does go to help individuals out in the world. If you can comment those below, I'm going to run a poll on the community tab on my page where we'll all be able to vote on the causes that the next 2 Magic Mondays will go towards. So whatever is the first within the poll will be next week's Magic Monday featured organization of the week, and then whatever second will be the next one. So if you feel inspired to also give back, I'll drop the link below. But again, just you being here, visiting the cosmic corner of the internet is going to support the cause. So look out for that poll to allow your voice to be heard around what is near and dear to your heart as well. So look out for that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So if you are new to the cosmic corner of the internet, we have a segment called Vibe Check of the Week, which is essentially a way that we tell the story of the sky in a real life example. This is not me saying that this is what we are all going through this particular week with these characters and this plot and all of this, but it's essentially a way to give some color and nuance to the astrology. Because with a week like this, where there's planets shifting into signs and retrograding and a full moon, there's a lot going on. And so it could be hard to make sense of what all of these various astrological aspects will give when they're all combined together. And so that's what Vibe Check of the Week is about. So this week's Vibe Check of the Week feels like the following scenario. You got quite lucky upon leaving university. One of the first jobs that you landed was for a startup that ended up getting acquired by a larger company. And because you were part of the founding team for this startup, your stake in the company, your shares, your ownership turned out to be very valuable. And because you're part of the founding team, you sit on the board and you do get dividends from the company, particularly when they are doing well. And it just so happens that now, years in the future, you no longer work there, but you do still advise on the board. You do still have your shares. And much to your dismay, the company has gone downhill. You, as well as everybody else who's part of the founding team, no longer works there. And with every single board meeting that you go to, your confidence within this company plummets. The leadership seems corrupt and unethical. They make decisions to skirt quality. And really, you don't even recognize the company any longer, the team any longer. A lot of the people that you built this thing with have gone. And adding to that, the central mission and vision, it's unrecognizable within the company as it stands now. And it is tricky territory because you do financially benefit from being a shareholder. You do receive dividends. And at these board meetings, there's always talk around how we're going to slash excess and we're going to let people go in order to drive profit, which you don't want that because you want people to be employed. You want this company to be able to help individuals, but there's an energy of being torn because there is an element around you do still financially benefit. And at the end of the day, you really have to tune into what you value more so. And gratefully, you are in a place where those dividends that you are earning, it's not the difference around whether or not you could put food on the table. And so you decide that you are selling your shares. You are giving up your seat on the board. You have no interest in being tied with this company altogether. the leadership is corrupt, the decisions that they're making are unethical, and no paycheck is worth being involved with something when your ethics are fundamentally against it. And also, it just feels like a story that's ready to end. It's like this startup served you when you were fresh out of college and you worked so hard in order to build it and grow it. And there was something so fresh and exciting about all of you just having this dream and putting your effort towards the vision of what something could be. And now it just feels like that vision is no longer alive within the company. And you're wondering why you're even there. This is not in connectivity with what I care about, with what I value. And there's part of keeping me here that's keeping me chained to an old identity of mine. These board meetings used to be something that were important to me. This company used to be something that's important to me. But I'm feeling inspired that I want to roam in new directions, right? With Mars and Sagittarius, I want to feel free. I want to be able to focus my energy towards visions and things that I want to build that are in deep alignment, where I feel like I am making a difference out in the world. I can't feel good about the money that's coming into my bank account if I recognize and I see how it's creating more harm on this planet, how we have tripled our environmental impact, how we are not giving our customers anything of quality any longer, how we are no longer employing the loyal employees who have helped us build this company. It's like, this is no longer for me. And yes, there is an acknowledgement around financially, you are taking a bit of a hit from this. Like holding on to these shares for longer would probably behoove you more. You could get more money from it, but there's just a desire around my freedom means more. I don't care if I take a loss. I don't care if I no longer have this dividend money coming in. I want to be free of it. I want to let this go. I don't want to be tied any longer. I don't want to be associated. So the reason why this week's vibe check feels like this week's astrology, the full moon in Taurus is a spotlight on all sorts of Taurus themes, which of course could bring to light security, stability, but also our values, what we value, what we prioritize, what is personally important to us. Again, Scorpio energy brings in a lot of themes of merging. And again, this like residual passive income that's coming to you because you are merged within this institution, within this company. But with the full moon in Taurus, it's coming back to, is my values here? Is this what I value? Is this what I prioritize? And yes, maybe it brings some element of security, but at what cost? Not all money is good money. And again, not all of us have the luxury of working for a company where we feel like our ethics and our values are completely 100% in alignment with it. None of us have the ability to be able to walk away from something if it is the difference between whether or not you will eat that day. But we'll say within the vibe check, there's like this awareness around, yeah, the dividends are nice. The money is nice, but it leaves me with an energetic debris of just ickiness. Or every time those dividends come in, obviously I'm benefiting, but I recognize in these board meetings how many people are being sacrificed for this money to come in. And I need my money to do the talking here. Maybe I can't change and transform this entire organization, but I'm taking a stand around, I'm not going to be a part of that. And again, maybe not all of us are walking away from boards this week and selling off our shares, but maybe there's like an awareness of something that you can do around, this is a company that I typically support, but upon learning more around what they're about, I'm choosing to vote with my dollar. I'm going to put my money elsewhere. I'm going to put it more towards local organizations and community, or an awareness around, this is something that's important to me. So I want to put more of my money towards it. This is something that I value. And believing the power of rebellion. You know, we've got Mars opposite Uranus this week. So definitely a desire to feel free. Even that was alive within the vibe check around, I feel constrained on this board. I don't feel as free as I want to. This feels like it belongs to a past version of me. I'm ready for new adventures, new horizons, putting my energy towards new projects, growing in new ways that are in alignment with my big picture. And I want to be clear, you did sell your shares within the vibe check, but again, there was a loss of sort, like with the Venus squaring Pluto. Like if you would have held on to them longer, you would have gotten paid more. They weren't very valuable at the time that you were selling them. Like it would have been more financially advantageous to sell it at a different time, to hold on. But you just knew it's time for you to walk away. It's time for a new adventure. This feels connected to a prior version of self. This is not in alignment with what is important to me. And now I feel fully free to speak out about this company at my own ability, to put my energy towards companies that will create the change that I want to see, and to put my energy towards what I care about, to not feel that ickiness every time like a paycheck hits my account, and to just recognize the damage that is being inflicted on the employees and on the customers customers and on the world altogether, because I can always make more money. What I cannot earn back, what I cannot make back is my integrity, is my ethics. And I need to take a stand for what's important to me, for what's valuable to me. So of course, we will dive deeper into this within our day-by-day analysis. I just want to remind you all that I am located within California. So the time zone that I give my readings in is now PST, Pacific Standard Time. So please adjust to your local time zone if you are located elsewhere in the world. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Monday, November 3rd. On Monday, November 3rd, in the evening time, Mars in Scorpio will trine Neptune in Pisces, which is about putting your energy, putting your actions towards your dreams, towards your visions. Dreamers and creators change the world. And of course, it's natural, especially with astrology, like what we're navigating now, to feel overwhelmed by corruption and greed and people and corporations that are fundamentally unethical. And it can feel like, what's the point of me doing anything, trying to build something, make a difference? But with Mars trining Neptune, the more that you put your efforts towards where your visions are, the more that you inspire other people to do the same. Again, if we all feel powerless and we all do nothing, nothing changes, right? With Mars opposite Uranus, you have to believe in the power in showing up for a vision and being able to put your energy even towards helping someone out. You know, Neptune is a very compassionate influence as well. So being able to put your energy towards, I can't save the world overnight, but I can help out this neighbor. I can help out a local food bank, or I can write this song that maybe can transport people or distract people from what it is that they are navigating within their daily life. I'm a believer that within this next season that we're all walking into, it's important to know your work. And what I mean by that, I don't just mean where you get your paychecks. I mean your work around helping humanity, uplifting humanity. And I don't want that to seem overwhelming. You're like, Haley Comet, I have 20 things on my to-do list and you're telling me I have to save humanity as well. It's knowing that your energy, your actions do make a difference. Someone could look at what it is that I do in front of these lights and with this microphone and be like, what are you really doing in the grander scheme of things? But fundamentally, how I view this, and I view this as my work here is to uplift. My work here is to provide hope. My work here is to allow people to feel seen. And that's not going to fix all of the problems, but it's my belief that the more that I uplift other humans, the more that I inspire other humans, they also arise for their work. We all have certain talents and gifts and desires and passions planted into us purposefully. And it's my belief that when we uplift, when we inspire, we call upon them to do their work. So there might be people who watch Magic Monday whose work is around making an environmental difference. And when they watch Magic Monday and tune into the astrology, they feel inspired to go out and do that. There could be individuals who stop by who are very passionate about this. They put these sort of codes into their music to make people feel more confident. They give back to this sort of cause within their company. So it's not feeling like we all need to feel the pressure of fixing everything, changing everything, but just really tuning into where is it that I feel called to serve, to help, and to support? And where can I remember and feel plugged into the ways that my efforts do make a difference? Really believing in that. Again, there would be so many people who just be like, girl, you're just in front of lights. Like, how much of a difference are you really making? But if I can give one person hope, enthusiasm, excitement, passion, motivation, if I can help with one cause that we are spotlighting within our galactic give backs, that is making a more beautiful world. And it's easy, especially with Neptune, like in Pisces, it's easy to feel very helpless around like, what's the point of anything? You make the point. And it does feel very rewarding to give back, to put your energy towards something around, at least I'm doing something. And again, dreamers change the world, creators change the world, because there's an energy around what if the world could be this, rather than being like, the world is so this, what if it could be this? And what if my efforts could go towards that? Where even if there's elements that I'm not able to fix or change overnight, at least I feel like I'm doing something, I'm helping someone, no matter what layer or level that is. It's so easy to feel jaded and to allow that feeling of feeling jaded to be like, well, what's the point of doing anything? But there's an energy with Mars trining Neptune to put your energy towards your dreams, towards your visions. And this could also show up around your artistic dreams, your artistic visions, what it is that you feel called to do, what it is that you feel called to work on. Mars has to deal with our physical fitness, our action. And so with Mars trining Neptune, it's a very dreamy energy. So you could feel very out of body. Something could feel very surreal. You could feel very tired. You could feel very exhausted. My encouragement today would be really listen to your body, listen to what it's telling you. Be mindful of relying on stimulants to mimic what your body is telling you. I say as I drink my Black Americano, do as I say, not as I do. But seriously, if your body is telling you something and your response is around, well, I just need to eat some sugar to give myself like an artificial rush of energy, or drink another coffee to give myself an artificial rush of energy, I'm no stranger to Halloween candy or coffee here in the cosmic corner of the internet. But it's also saying like, what does my body need right now? Like, what is it telling me? As well as listening to what your cravings could be signaling to you. Sometimes our body tells us like what nutrients we are deprived in by what it is that we are craving at that particular moment. So taking that time to listen in rather than forcing, to recognize how intuitive and wise we are and our bodies are. There can also be an energy. This would also be very dreamy to swim if you go and swim at a local pool, or to dance. Like Mars trining Neptune is like flow energy. Yoga could also be really lovely at this time. To really move some energy through the movement of your body would be very supportive. But also if you feel called to rest, there's no need to push yourself. There's no need to overextend yourself. The more that you honor your body as an intuitive, intelligent vessel and listen to its signals and take action around the signals that you receive, better care of yourself you take. And with Mars positioned at the anaretic degree, the final degree of Scorpio, sometimes this energy is a bit unstable. It could be a bit erratic. We could have random spurts of anger. Mars opposite Uranus, definitely being mindful around like accidents this week altogether, especially if you're going to fast, especially if you're like highly emotional, agitated, fired up about something. I will say Mars trining Neptune does help to soften a bit. It can muddy things a bit in that you could feel confused around what you're really mad at. You could have a response and feel really fired up, really infuriated, but have a lack of clarity around what you're truly mad at. Like Neptune energy can make that confusing, where you could feel a lot of resentment towards your partner or friend of yours, but not really feel like you have the utmost clarity of why that is, or what about them is triggering you or infuriating you. And for some individuals, not all, we are in Scorpio season. After all, sometimes we hold on to certain grudges or we're not ready to choose forgiveness. But for some individuals, there could be a softening of an anger and resentment that could have really hardened your heart. Like Neptune can be around, letting something go, releasing something, and giving up the battle. Neptune is this oceanic influence, the ebb and the flow. And Neptune can be the spirit of surrender, around allowing ourselves to let something go, where try as we might have wanted the wave to stay with us, tried to claw into it so that it would not ebb away, but it was time for that to ebb. This could be an energy around just deciding that you're ready to let go of some sort of anger. You're ready to let go of some sort of frustration. You're ready to give it back. And this could even show up on a very personal level around being really mad at yourself because you lost a beautiful earring when you were out dancing with your friends and you're so frustrated around, I love those earrings. I love those earrings. But just that energy around, I've got to let it go. Maybe somebody found that earring and loved it. Now they're rocking one earring. And maybe that was my offering to the evening where I had this beautiful night. I danced with my friends. And that was my offering. Sometimes we just got to let things go, especially if holding on is just creating all sorts of resentment and anger around, did someone steal my earring? How was I so dumb around not checking to make sure it was there before we left? Sometimes you just got to let it ebb away and trust in the flow around. You may have let go of that earring, but you received that beautiful evening dancing with your friends. And it really does no good trying to hold on to something when it's time for that wave to ebb. and trusting that the right things will flow back to you in due time. So there can be an ask to allow in that surrender, which can be painful. I want to highlight that. The moon's in Aries all day long. It aligns with Chiron at 10:51 p.m. So again, the hurt, the frustration, the anger, the pain, and feeling into that and validating that, because you can hold multiple things at once. You can hold, that was not okay. That was wrong. I was hurt by it. And I'm going to comfort myself as I was hurt by that. I can also hold on to that while also holding, but it's not doing me any good to hold on to this anger, this vengefulness, this rage, even around the situation. I'm ready to let that go. Maybe more so for myself rather than you, around my own healing process, because sometimes in an effort to try to get control of a situation, we think of revenge. We'll take this pain away as soon as I get one over at this person, as soon as I serve this person a taste of their own medicine, then I'll be able to heal. And it really is an illusion. Like sometimes when something happens that makes us feel powerless, those sort of revenge plots happen in our mind in a way to try to feel powerful over the situation. But sometimes it just entangles you more and more within the ickiness, within the poison of the situation. And sometimes it can lead you to wanting to stoop to someone's level, which just puts out more hurt and pain out into the world. And by you choosing forgiveness, it's not saying that what they did was okay. It's not saying that your pain is not valid. It's just deciding I'm ready to let this go. I'm ready to let new things flow into my life. I'm ready for my energy to go towards things that nourished me rather than things that drain me. I'm ready to take personal agency over my healing process with the Aries moon on Chiron around doing what I can to heal and move forward, and not making my healing contingent upon this person getting their revenge. With the Aries moon on Chiron, it's acknowledging this hurts, and I'm the only one who can free myself from this labyrinth of pain. Because sometimes you do get that opportunity to flex on someone who has hurt you, and sometimes you're like, why is the pain still here? I don't understand. That was meant to fix it. That was meant to take the pain away. But with moon on Chiron, it's just acknowledging it, and it's not judging yourself. Healing is not linear, and it's not something that can be rushed by as much as the Aries moon may want to rush by it. And so it's taking your time with it. With Mars trining Neptune, it's knowing that we let something go a million times over. There's not just one time that we forgive. We forgive a million times. There's not one push to grieve. We grieve a million times. There's not just one push to let something go. We let something go a million times. And sometimes your emotions surprise you. I just want to say Neptune's at the 29th degree. So there's a lot of sensitivity alive currently, and there could be confusion, murkiness with it trining Mars. What am I really mad at? Maybe I'm redirecting the rage and the wrath that I feel at this situation on this person. Maybe it's misdirected. I'm internalizing the shame and guilt that's not mine. Like that person should feel ashamed of themselves. I don't need to feel shame around allowing that to transpire. Like Neptune energy can sometimes make things so murky that we're not sure what's ours and what's someone else's. And so it's also just acknowledging, where am I holding on to anger that I'm ready to ebb away from me, as well as where am I holding on to emotions that are not mine to carry. Like I don't need to feel embarrassed about how I showed up within that situation. That person should be embarrassed for doing what they did. It's validating what you're feeling, because again, with moon on Chiron, there could be trigger points and pain points that are surfacing that are yours, but it's also acknowledging, like, I don't need to hold on to this icky anger. Poison within me is somebody else's. Like, I don't need to internalize this anymore. So there could be some murkiness around that. And with moon on Chiron, I would just say there can be some sensitivities plucked at later in the evening. We are building to the full moon, which tends to heighten, tends to make things quite busy. There also can be an acknowledgement around where it is that you are physically healing as well. Like I said, Mars in Scorpio trining Neptune is around the intuitive wisdom of your physical body and what your energy is telling you. And with moon on Chiron, also honoring what it is that you're feeling called to do. If you're dealing with some sort of health thing and you randomly keep feeling the pull to do yoga, or the intuitive awareness that you want to start eating like a bigger breakfast with more protein. Like, it's also honoring the wisdom of the practitioners that you go to with any health matter, but it's also honoring the wisdom of your physical body, especially as it relates to the process of healing. On Tuesday, November 4th, I do just want to remind anyone who is in the US that today is election day, so remember to vote. Again, we have a lot of Uranus energy this week, and I know we can feel overwhelmed around, feels like we're not going to create change and everything is so corrupt and so unethical, but it's really important to take agency in the ways that you are able to ensure that you are reaching out to the members who represent you politically and to see where possible you can advocate for your beliefs. It's interesting. Today's the day that Mars enters Sagittarius, and Mars is about what it is that we fight for, what it is we stand up for, how it is that we assert ourselves. And with the energy of Sagittarius, it has a lot to do with our beliefs. It has a lot to do with our philosophies. And so with Mars and Sagittarius, it's almost this energy around getting ignited around what you believe in, the vision that you believe in, the world you believe in, and wanting to rebel against what is not that with the opposition Uranus. And I say this with no fear whatsoever, but my encouragement would be to be mindful today. Mars opposite Uranus could be taking impulsive, erratic risks around, I know that it's not particularly safe to do this and that, but I'm feeling optimistic about it. And a lot of times, that Jupiterian Sagittarius luck does work out, but you don't want to take a chance when it comes to something as important as your life. So this is a sort of astrology where you could feel like I'm radically inspired around, usually I do this, but I'll just cut the corner this time, or I'll just make this dangerous turn in traffic this one time. This is not a time to take unnecessary and impulsive risks. And I would just be mindful around accidents, rushing, random flare-ups, random arguments, conflict, unexpected violence. And I don't share that in a scary way. I'm not saying you need to stay inside and that people are going to be doing the most. What I'm saying is just be protective with your energy. Don't feel like you need to give everything the time of day. If someone's trying to get under your skin, mind your temper, mind your impulses. And again, put your energy towards your beliefs, towards the vision that you believe in, and know that someone could get you fired up. Someone can antagonize you, but it's knowing, is this getting me closer to that vision or further away from it? If I truly want a world that looks like this, is me arguing with this person in the comments or with this person in the grocery store, is that bringing more of what I believe in to this world? Probably not. So that's my encouragement. I would also just say, not the astrology to rush. I'm a believer that lateness sometimes is a byproduct of being someone who's very optimistic. And now we have Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius. So it's like, it'll just take me 20 minutes to get there. It'll just take me this long to do this and that. Add some extra time. Mercury stations retrograde this weekend. It's never good to be in a rush, and you make mistakes when you're in a rush. And Mars opposite Uranus energy could be mistake energy. You could be dropping things, spilling things, and you could feel really anxious, restless, annoyed, agitated. Like Uranus is a planet that governs electricity. So you could just feel like you are unsettled, anxious, and like your body could be sort of feeling that. So it could be really hard to focus today. You could just feel like a live wire, so to speak. And again, not wanting to be controlled or told what to do. You could feel like your desk feels like a cage. You could feel like your responsibilities are sentencing. Like you could just feel this energy around, I just want to be free. I just want to be my own person. I just want to do my own thing. I just want to be able to roam and explore and adventure. Yet I have to do this. Like there just could be a frustration around that. Our lunar story with today, Tuesday, November 4th, the day starts out with the moon in Aries squaring off with Jupiter shortly after midnight, opposes Venus in Libra at 3:21 a.m. PST. The moon is exalted in Taurus, which is around grounding and stability and anchoring into what we value and what we find sensually pleasing and what grounds us. And then the Taurus moon will square off with Pluto in Aquarius around 10:30. Yes, the Taurus moon is around grounding, anchoring, stabilizing, but with the Taurus moon squaring Pluto, as well as Venus building to square Pluto later on this week, Pluto energy can take things to extremes. And yes, the moon is exalted, it's grounded, but with the square to Pluto, your emotions could be going through highs and lows, ups and downs. Sometimes with Pluto energy, we can take things out of context. We can feel like something is the worst thing ever. And so you could just feel some intensity, some fear of the future, some fear around stability and security, could feel feel threatening at this particular moment. And again, the full moon exacts tomorrow morning. So emotions are running high. Tension is building. Pressure is building. It's just important to know we're in Scorpio season, which is that awareness around there are things that are happening that are outside of my control. There's transformation taking place that's outside my control. There's changes that are happening that are outside of my control. Like change is truly the only constant. But as things are changing and evolving, you can find your anchoring point. And that's really what tomorrow's full moon is about, is finding that moment of taking a breath and being like, okay, things are changing, but I'm here and I'm good. I don't know what tomorrow may have in store, but today I have food on the table for my family and we're all eating together. Or I do not know what is going to transpire with this particular issue, but what I know is that I'm doing whatever I can at this particular moment. It's really tuning into any moment of comfort and anchoring that you can have in order to soothe yourself and ground yourself. We have no earth in the cosmos other than the moon being in Taurus. And so while your emotions could go through some highs and lows today, with moon squaring Pluto, there's an energy around bringing yourself back, or bringing yourself back to what soothes me, what grounds me. Is this bath going to fix everything? No, but it's going to give me a more soothed nervous system in order to handle the task. Is this moment of me doing breathing exercises in my car so I don't have a panic attack at work going to fix everything? No, but it's going to allow myself to feel soothed and grounded as I navigate what is transpiring. The Taurus moon asks you to regulate yourself or bring yourself back into a moment of calm, whether that is a meal, whether that is a walk, whether that is snuggling with your cat, doing those things that soothe you, ground you, and reassure you it's all going to be okay. This is a stressful week of astrology. There's a lot going on. Mars opposite Uranus could bring unexpected matters, arguments, conflicts up to the surface. And the Taurus moon is around, how can I come back to center? How can I ground myself? Because what you're not going to want to do is react very impulsively or to lash out before checking in. Like the Taurus moon really asks you to take a minute, take a break. Mercury stations retrograde this Sunday. So that means our words can come back around to bite us. So those words that you say in the heat of the moment, they could come back around. That action that you take in the heat of the moment, there could be ramifications to it, ones that you did not foresee. Uranus is expect the unexpected energy. So it's important to take a moment, take a beat, take a breath before doing something that you may regret. On Wednesday, November 5th, the full moon in Taurus exacts at 5:21 a.m. PST, and it lands at 13 degrees Taurus. And it's actually quite lovely, all things considered. Now, you definitely could feel the full moon energy building. Things get a little chaotic, fraught, intense, hurried, busied. Again, don't move too fast with Mars opposite Uranus. Don't try to do all the things, or again, be optimistic that you could do all the things. This is an energy around with the Taurus full moon. Slow and steady wins the race. Taking breaks every so often helps win the race. Sitting down with your friends and family for a good meal wins the race. Like taking those moments, taking those beats to kind of ground down and anchor in actually helps you to do more, accomplish more, experience more. We tend to think that more equals more, but sometimes when you overcommit or you overscatter your energies, you're less present for everywhere that you are giving energy to. And with the Taurus moon, it's around how can I consolidate my energy? How can I be very present and here, really enjoying this beautiful meal, really enjoying this bath, really enjoying this moment, this accomplishment, this celebration, acknowledging that like all things, it won't last forever. This meal will get consumed. This bath water will go cold. This success will feel really good, but then eventually the emotions associated will subside. We can acknowledge that something will end while still celebrating, basking in it, luxuriating it. Like that's the energy of the Taurus full moon. Scorpio energy is around transformation and shedding and letting go, but the energy of the Taurus moon is around let's enjoy the now. Yes, things are shifting, but let's take a moment. Let's take a break. Let's take a beat. And other themes that could surface with this Taurus full moon is an awareness around security, stability, money, values, hence the vibe check. And with the full moon in Taurus, it could also illuminate where within your chart you have 13 degrees Taurus. This full moon does not have any like major aspects involved. So it's undiluted in that sense. And there's also a sensation when it comes to this full moon in Taurus around anchoring into what is stable within your life. Sometimes when we're going through times of massive change where it feels like there's so many uncertainties, it could just feel like our entire life's in a blender. And this full moon in Taurus is around what does anchor me, sustain me, what is stable within my life. Or maybe like within the vibe check, I'm walking away from this organization, I'm leaving the board, I'm creating change in my life in these particular ways. But what is anchoring in my life? What's stable within my life? These friendships anchor me. These routines anchor me. These rituals anchor me. And it's really being mindful to do things that connect you to your physical body. When we don't have that much earth in the cosmos, it's really important to do one thing at a time. It's really important if you're making dinner. Smell the spices, feel the food with your fingertips, be very anchored within your physical vessel and allow your senses to soothe you. Oftentimes we can be so overstimulated. There's so much competing for our attention all of the time. It could be medicinal to do something with presence and do something with intention and finding those moments to dress moments up, to make them a little bit more beautiful, to make them a little bit more lovely. Yes, it's just a meal and there's 20 other projects you could be working on, but in that moment to really make it a lovely meal and light a candle and really enjoying conversation with a loved one, acknowledging, like I said, with all things that dinner will end, but why would we not decorate this particular moment? There could be chaotic circumstances alive currently. This full moon is like kind of bookended by Mars opposite Uranus, Venus squaring Pluto later on this week, but it's knowing no matter how busy or chaotic things are, there's always an opportunity to take a moment, whether it's going for a walk in the park and just like breathing and feeling into the breath, whether it's having a nice meal with a friend and just allowing that to ground and soothe, whether that is, like I said, playing with an animal or a pet. It's really important to connect into your physical body, because sometimes, especially if there's like doom or fear, it can kind of bring us into this nowhere land where I'm freaking out about this and I'm not really present for what's happening now. And the Taurus full moon is like, where can I reclaim my energy and my intention to be very deliciously here right now? I don't know what tomorrow will have in store, but I know that I'm present for the now. There's an acknowledgement around doing that. And it's also kind of like the last hurrah for Venus, because tomorrow Venus enters Scorpio, which, as we highlighted, is her detriment. So Venus is positioned in Libra for the final push. So there really is an ask, how is it that I can enjoy, indulge, luxuriate, feel into my own beauty, dress up my life as something very beautiful in and of itself? There's an ask to do that. And the full moon will sextile Jupiter that evening. So there can be an energy today where it's productive, where things are busy, there's a lot going on, but you are handling one thing at a time. You're feeling the fulfillment around getting things done. You're feeling productive. You had a productive day at work and then you go home and you're very present for mealtime and connecting with those that you love. You know, Taurus is an earth sign, yeah, so it's hardworking, it's steady, but it's not around just working for no aim. It's remembering to enjoy this experience, enjoy our life, and to take those moments around. It's just a meal, but I can make it something beautiful, something lovely. And the Taurus moon sextiling Jupiter in Cancer that evening brings about that celebration, jubilant energy. On Thursday, November 6th, Mars in Sagittarius will sextile Pluto in Aquarius at 7:11 a.m. PST. It's calling your power back, calling your energy back from situations that are draining you, that are siphoning your energy. You know, sometimes we stay very connected to situations, even if our intention is to walk away from it, because we are ensnared. Sometimes like anger, wrath keeps us ensnared around this person is my arch nemesis. And so I'm going to keep checking up on them and putting my energy towards competing with them. Even if this is not someone I really want within my life, I'm making them very, very relevant, very topical by checking in on them and thus ensnaring myself more so. Sometimes we do this with regret around, I can't believe I made this certain decision. I'm trying to let it go, but I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that, or I should have done this. That also keeps us very ensnared. And the more that we are associated and ensnared with the old, the less energy we have available to build the new. Like Mars sextile Pluto is this energy around, it is what it is. It was what it was. It will be what it will be. And if it is to be, it is up to me. Like with Mars in Sagittarius sextile Pluto, it's like I can keep ruminating and obsessing over the past, the actions I didn't take, the actions I did take, what I'm angry about, what someone else did, who I'm competitive with. but there's an energy around, I just need to call my power back from those situations and focus on moving forward, having my arrow pointed to the future and putting my energy towards what it is that I can control from this point onward. And knowing it's not that we need to demonize anger. With Mars opposite Uranus, definitely be mindful of what you feel driven to do because of anger. Like, your reactions are your responsibility, and it's important to moderate that this week. But it's knowing that anger inherently is not a bad emotion. It's not a negative emotion. Like, there are things that we should be mad about. Sometimes anger is a necessary emotion that comes about as a response of our own boundaries and feeling mad about how those boundaries have been crossed that inspire us to stand up for ourselves, to assert ourselves. Sometimes that anger around, I can't believe this company I used to work for is being so unethical. Sometimes that drives you to make a decision, to move energy in a different way. Anger can be something that drives you to take action. It's no coincidence that the planet of anger in astrology is also the planet of action. Like, your anger can drive you to make changes, to walk away from things that are no longer serving you, to enact firmer boundaries. It is not inherently a bad thing, but I would say with Mars sextile Pluto, it's really contemplating, is this draining my energy? Is this keeping me tethered to something that I want to be free from? Or is this helping me move towards what it is that I believe in, what it is that I am building? Am I ready to let go of the burden of this anger, the burden of feeling very tied with this? Am I ready to feel the freedom of that? Am I ready to reclaim that time that was invested and not see it as time wasted? Within the vibe check, there's an energy around, I can't believe I put so much energy towards building this company and it devolved into this, and just like beating yourself up around what you could have been doing. And sometimes that will keep you trapped in a sense, like sunken cost fallacy. You'll think, well, I've been a board member for this long. I can't give up now. I can't walk away now. And really questioning with Mars sextile Pluto, how much longer do I want to go not feeling free, not feeling empowered? Do I want to have the same conversation in 7 years' time when I'm like, well, now I can't walk away from the board because I've been on the board for 14 years. Like, with Mars sextile Pluto, it's knowing that nothing is ever truly a waste of time so long as you learn, so long as you grew, and so long as you let something go when it was time for you to let it go. Is really important. So long as you chose freedom and expanding into new avenues, new arenas when it was time for you to do so. And knowing if you could build up that startup, you could do that again as well. Like with Mars sextile Pluto, it's knowing you can replicate your results in a sense. So if any of you are dealing with someone who copied you, who bit off of you, again, it's knowing I've got more creativity where that came from. Like, I can replicate that, or I might have built up that startup, but I can do that again. It's not feeling like you have to stay tethered to something that is not doing it for you. You can walk away from anything at any point in time. Like, please remember that and really recognize where it is that you're limiting your own freedom through the lens around, I won't be able to do it again or find it again or try it again. Like Sagittarius energy is around, in this big, beautiful world, you think you can't build up another startup? You think that you can't have shares in a company that's actually ethical? You're going to keep yourself tethered to something that is fundamentally you've outgrown because you don't believe in your ability to start over from scratch? Like Mars sextile Pluto is believing in the power of that. I also want to highlight, speaking of regeneration, Venus enters Scorpio at 2:39 p.m., which is passionate, deep, intense. With Venus in Scorpio, there is a desire to really merge into what and who we are devoted to. And when it comes to Scorpio, it has a lot to do with intimacy. And it's knowing that when we merge with anyone, energetically, financially, our energy shifts. Like, there is an alchemy that takes place when we merge with another. Even when we spend time with someone, when we join a team, when we interact physically with someone, we are energetically bound. And with Scorpio energy, it's recognizing the fusion of those energies. Who are you merging and sharing energy with? It's recognizing that if you lie down with dogs, you could get fleas. Like, it's acknowledging who you are fusing and merging energy with and how that is affecting you, evolving you, transforming you. Especially if you're seeing someone new, dating someone new, part of a particular team, it's important to acknowledge how that impacts you. With Venus and Scorpio, there's an awareness that there's all sorts of cords and ties and energies that are not necessarily visible and tangible within this experience. Where the Taurus full moon is around, oh, we're eating this delicious dinner and there's these lovely candles and you look beautiful. Whereas Venus and Scorpio is around, yeah, but after the date, I just had this icky feeling. It's like the emotional, energetic undercurrents of what we feel when we merge and fuse with another, when we physically entangle with another. And with Venus and Scorpio, this was woven into the vibe check around, if I am in this boardroom, then I am associated with this company. Like if we stay merged with what we consider to be dark or evil or unethical, we become it. The longer we're in those environments, we are impacted. We can say that we are sovereign, empowered beings. I believe we all are, but we are impacted by who we merge energy with, by who we fuse with. And you can find yourself live long enough to become the villain, in a sense, around the more that I'm around this board of money-hungry tyrants, the more I watch myself become that. And also to a physical lens as well, really paying attention to how someone impacts your energy. I saw a TikTok the other day and it rang so true, where it said, if you ever walked away from someone and right after doing so, your money glowed up and you glowed up and all of these blessings came in, like, congratulations, you are not breaking up with the person, you're breaking up with like a spiritual op. I do believe there's some truth in that, because sometimes when we're merged with someone who is not meant for us, we will feel drained. Like that person can be kind of siphoning and draining our energy. That person can be blocking our blessings. And it's not defaulting or not taking responsibility for our own lives, but it is important to note those sort of things around, how interesting. Ever since I started seeing this person, I no longer feel creative. All of these random extra expenses are flying out of nowhere. I feel drained all the time, especially after spending time with them. It's important to acknowledge that, because sometimes that is the universe like signaling this person is not right for you. Like this person is impacting your energy. And what happens to your life after you revoke access of yourself from this person will tell you everything that you need to know. I am telling you, it's like the moment I cut this person off, all of these blessings flowed in. My money glowed up. My energy came back. I felt like myself again. I felt creative. I felt inspired. Having that happen so immediately after cutting that person off, I was like, what kind of op was that? Like truly, that was my op. After experiencing all of that, it made it so clear that that person really was an enemy. And that's the thing. Like sometimes someone can seem so charming and seem so nice and seem so good. And we can feel crazy for what we're acknowledging. But like Scorpio energy is like really honoring your intuition, honoring your energy, even like being aware when I fuse with you, when I merge with you, there's debris that I feel energetically that doesn't feel aligned. And it's knowing that sometimes we can have like closest friends or someone that we're dating that is really an enemy, like really someone who is blocking our blessings, draining our energy, distracting us from our life's work. And this is not me saying you need to go out dating and being super paranoid around, are you going to like block my blessings and siphon all of my energy? Like it's not saying that necessarily, but what I would say is really honor what your energy tells you, what your emotions tell you about fusing with this person, merging with this person, the alchemy that takes place. Because someone could be good on paper, they could be charming, they could be easy on the eyes, right? But they cannot be right for you. And oftentimes when you merge deeper and deeper with anything that is not right for you, the more you block your own blessings, the further and further you get from your own soul's aligned path. And sometimes the energetic debris is telling you something. And so really there can also be an ask with Venus and Scorpio to remember just how sacred you are and to not feel like you need to be with someone just to be with someone or open your energy up just like that. Like Venus and Scorpio can also be around acknowledging just how sacred those parts of you are and not wanting just anyone to have access to that. Like you are precious. You should be safeguarded, and maybe even reserving your energy for those who make the world feel bigger rather than smaller. Where yes, Venus and Scorpio wants devotion and deep merging, but with Mars and Sagittarius, I also want the freedom in order to follow what I find meaningful. I don't want to get off track with my own soul's work, merging with something that's not right for me, merging with something that's poisoning me, that's destructive, that's bringing the worst out of me, that's toxic. It's just being conscious of that, especially with Venus squaring Pluto. This can be a jealous influence with Venus Scorpio. There can just be an awareness with Venus building to square Pluto around power plays. But really with Venus and Scorpio, it's important to just be very clear what it is that you want as it relates to your love life, around wanting depth, wanting realness, wanting someone that you're able to unlock every element of your being. Like Venus and Scorpio, sometimes they can test their lovers or their friends to see if they deserve to earn access to the inner reservoir of their being. But once you get access to inner reservoir of a Venus and Scorpio's being, you have a part of their heart and their soul forever. Like it's a very sacred thing to be loved by a Venus and Scorpio, but Scorpio energy goes so deep that they don't just allow that to just anyone. So you could just be feeling that as it relates to your love life, as well as money as well. You know, Scorpio energy is around regeneration. So it's a reminder that you can earn it back. You can make it back. Sometimes with Venus and Scorpio, as well as Venus-Pluto contact, sometimes they go through extremes with finances. They go through ups and downs as it relates to their finances. And money can be something so stressful about this experience, and I don't mean to invalidate that, but it's knowing that money can be made back. Money can be earned back. There's other things like health and time that cannot be bought back or earned back. So it sucks when you got scammed. If y'all remember when I got scammed a couple weeks ago, it sucks. And there could be either fears of loss of money or acknowledgement of loss of money. Just with the Venus scoring Pluto, there can be paranoia around finances or feeling out of control with finances or something like this. So our lunar story on the 6th, the moon starts off in Taurus. It's a full moon recovery day. So maybe there's an energy around integrating, taking things in stride, what has transpired thus far. In the morning time, it's important to eat breakfast, drink water, maybe move your body, water your plants, maybe get your day off on a slow, steady note. The Taurus moon will sextile Saturn just after midnight, sextiles Neptune around 7 a.m. So also taking opportunities to romanticize our lives. The moon enters Gemini at 7:20 a.m. And with the Gemini moon, it sets off that Mars Uranus opposition that's still alive in the cosmos. So there can be random bits of information, even with the Gemini moon opposing Mercury at like 5 p.m. Surprising information that catches you off guard, that potentially infuriates you, makes you mad. Your energy could feel like it's fluctuating quite a bit. There could be random things that get under your skin that bother you. The Gemini moon does trine Pluto in Aquarius. So whether it's within dialogue with your friends or venting to a coworker, there could just be an acknowledgement of the power of community, other people who are frustrated by what it is that you're frustrated by, and just reminding ourselves that we are more powerful in numbers when we band together, when we work together. Maybe within the vibe check, you stepping down from the board inspired other people to do the same. And that took a toll on the company in that it's really bad PR. It's a really bad look. And your energy is conveying where your values are. Your energy and revoking of it is conveying your frustration. It's conveying your anger. And so the morning can be a bit unstable, surprising. The evening time, as I highlighted, the Gemini moon will oppose who it's answering to, Mercury and Sagittarius. So you could have a really hard time focusing. Your energy could feel very fraught, frayed, all over the place. You could feel kind of bored. You know, Sagittarius energy wants adventure. It wants something that inspires us. It wants new experiences. And it is important to acknowledge when you're no longer learning from something, when you are complacent in a certain situation. I'm not learning anything by being a part of this board. I'm not learning anything by keeping my business at this particular level. Like if I want to learn and grow and connect to new sides of myself, I have to try new things. I have to do new things. I have to learn new things. And sometimes comfort can lead to complacency where yes, you could have stayed on the board for the rest of your life and just collected the dividends. But there's an energy around, I'm ready to learn about different things. And yes, I'm kind of putting myself into the fire, not having those dividend checks rolling in to lean upon, but that ignites my hunger. With Mars sextile Pluto, Venus in Scorpio, like, yes, it is a financial loss, but I can begin again. I can build something again. It's actually exciting to be in that process of building and creating. It's genuinely better that than in a space of complacency, especially if you feel like you're not pushing yourself, you're not evolving, you're not learning. Again, that won't be a message for everyone, but it may be a message for some. I'm personally a Taurus South node, so I'm really not here to be comfortable. And granted, we all love comfort, right? The Taurus full moon yesterday is a great meal, a nice bath, a fuzzy blanket. It's not that comfort is a bad thing, but sometimes we can stay in environments because it's comfortable. And sometimes we are complacent. And sometimes certain skills that used to be sharp get a little softer and softer. And sometimes our hunger around, I want to change the world, I want to push the limits, and I want to create, sometimes that drive gets a little bit more muted and muted. It's not saying we all need to walk away from a board, from dividends. It's not saying we all need to change our jobs and change everything, but maybe there's a new adventure, something that pushes you, something that puts you out of your comfort zone for this purpose of growth, evolution, expansion. On Friday, November 7th, 2025, this is a big day. Uranus, the planet of innovation, shockwaves, surprises, re-enters Taurus, finishing off a journey that it has undertaken through the sign of Taurus since 2018. This is the last push. And this transit altogether has brought ups and downs and lefts and rights in all sorts of Taurus themes. Taurus governs money. It governs possessions, stuff, food, nature, all of which has had some shockwaves, all of which has had some instability associated. And even outside of the collective implications of this individually, you can look at the Taurus territory of your chart and notice that it has been radically innovated within the last 8 years. You could have gone through all sorts of shifts. There could have been plot twists that you could have not foreseen in a million years. Random deviations from how you thought things were going to go. Uranus is the planet of the unexpected. Expect the unexpected when it comes to Uranus energy. And now Uranus is hovered at the 29th degree, which does give a heightened energy of instability and erratic developments. And with Uranus at the 29th degree, it's going to be really important to ground down, to anchor down. As I highlighted earlier, Uranus is about electricity. And so sometimes there's just an energy around feeling like a live wire, feeling anxious, feeling nervous. And again, with Uranus energy, it's expect the unexpected energy. And we could, especially with Venus squaring Pluto today, our mind could run haywire, assuming the worst, fearing the worst. And with Uranus energy, feeling the buzzing anxiety of contemplating all of that. But it's going to be important to know that it really does not do any good to try to predict the unpredictable or expect the unexpected. All you can do is do what is best at this particular moment in time. We also have Venus and Scorpio squaring Pluto and Aquarius today at 7:44 p.m. PST. And so this can represent fear, paranoia around love, money, beauty. Firstly, around love and connection. There could be this energy around feeling like you are falling for someone, feeling terrified of that, running, wondering if you should run away and start a new life in a different country rather than get close to this person. Because to get close to someone means that they can hurt us. It's a risk to open our heart up and fuse with another. And sometimes it can feel more tempting to want to self-sabotage, to want to run away, especially with all the Sagittarius energy. There can also be paranoia and fear around money, finances, a loss of control in some sort of way that could be alive in your Friday. Because, this transit can be a greed transit, and you have to decide when it's no longer worth it to you. Where, the dividend checks are nice, and it was nice to have that coming in. Yes, it is a loss that you're no longer going to have that money to rely on, that you're selling these shares at a loss when you could make more down the line, what have you. But with the energy of Venus and Scorpio squaring Pluto, it's also around at what cost, at what extremes. Like if I were to stay on just for these dividends, just to make as much as possible, I'm just feeding what it is that I don't value. This very leadership that I'm denouncing, if I stay and just keep cashing the dividend checks, even though what they're doing is so against me and I'm embarrassed to even be on the board, I'm becoming what I despise. You have to be mindful before you become what it is that you despise. And you have to be able to decide when something is enough. Greed is something that erodes this planet, erodes humanity altogether. And so it's important to decide when enough is enough. Like we would all likely want more money, but at what cost? Like that's the energy of Venus square Pluto. For the cost of your soul, for your integrity, for the destruction of humanity, that's a cost far too high. And so with the Venus squaring Pluto, there can be acknowledgements of that. There could be themes around bankruptcy or debt, deciding that you are wanting to start over, build again, try again, and having to let go of any shame or guilt attached to that. There can be an energy with Venus squaring Pluto around feeling very out of control around your finances, feeling very paranoid or fearful about them. That could be really alive currently in the collective within you personally. And whenever we have Pluto energy, things can get a bit existential, fearful. And I would just say around the Gemini moon, being mindful how that can permeate into scrolling or taking in information. Always important to be informed, but there could be an energy with Venus squaring Pluto around obsessing, ruminating. And that evening could be a little bit of a bummer with the Gemini moon, sextile Chiron, and then promptly squaring off with Saturn. So it could be like hitting a wall. You could feel very mentally drained. You could feel very mentally stressed. Things can feel out of control. They can feel out of your hands. And again, Uranus at the indirect degree, just like nervous, buzzing energy. And so it's going to be important wherever possible on Friday to breathe, take a moment. The full moon in Taurus may have passed, but its wisdom has not. Sometimes a nap and a good meal within your belly, it won't fix everything, but it'll give you the proper nervous system in order to handle things one step at a time. Venus square Pluto could be trying to predict the future, right? With Pluto and Aquarius, or having a lot of fear because people say the future is going to be like this and we're all doomed and it's all this and it's all that, which it's not to say there's not information that can be taken in from it, but it's being very mindful where you are assuming the worst or allowing your emotions to be really messed with, because energetically that can be harvested. When we are strongly agitated or strongly emotional, that can distract us from what's really important or where our efforts should be concentrated. And it can keep us in a state of fight or flight and being very reactive. So it's going to be important to strive not to react too emotionally. Again, it's not that anger is a bad thing, emotions are a bad thing, but it's knowing that when you are highly emotional, agitated, fearful, oftentimes you are easier to be controlled. And so it's important to ground yourself down in order to tune into your genuine take on it, as well as knowing that no one knows exactly what is going to happen within the future. And it's a waste of energy trying to control, predict, expect all of the things. All you can do is do the best that you can, one step at a time. And it's also knowing the moon is in a Mercury ruled sign all in the day. Mercury stations retrograde on Sunday. Mercury is the trickster. So there even could be information that comes out this week that is not the full story, or more developments show up. So just important not to take a really extreme response right away. On Saturday, November 8th, the day starts off at 6:32 a.m. PST with the Gemini moon squaring Neptune in Pisces. So you could feel a little sleepy or even just like mentally scattered, overwhelmed by the options that are ahead of you. You could feel very distracted, like you're doing this on social media, you're responding to this group chat, and then you're like, why are there oats on the counter? Oh yeah, I was making oatmeal. Like you could kind of feel like your attention, your energy is a little divided. The moon enters Cancer at 7:06 a.m. PST, which draws your awareness to home, tradition, your inner emotional landscape. The Cancer moon trining Venus and Scorpio asks you to give energy to what is deeply important to you, to what and who you really care about, even to what and who feels like home to you. Like I said, Venus and Scorpio is very much an energy that really favors quality over quantity as it relates to our connections, really wanting the people that we're able to go deep with and we're able to bare our souls to, and valuing that, the people who feel like home in a human being, and really honoring that. So potentially having your confidants that you're able to turn to or open up to. And it's also special to have those individuals where you're able to evolve and change within the connection. Scorpio as an energy is around transformation, and Cancer moon is about the past. So there could be an acknowledgement either around, gosh, our friendship, we've known each other in so many different seasons of life. How cool that I've gotten to see you within these different eras, and that we've been able to remain close, or our connections have been able to go deep. But it's also knowing, like much in alignment with our sunken cost fallacy that we were talking about earlier, time is not the utmost important thing when it comes to dynamics. Like if you're ever staying in a relationship that is destructive or draining because it's like, oh, well, we've been friends forever, we've been together for this long, it's really acknowledging at what cost. That's really the vibe this week. At what cost? Yeah, you're in this friendship for 15 years, but like, at what cost? Your sense of self has eroded in trying to be what this person needs you to be. And you are constantly in a state of guilt and obligation around them. Like, at what cost? Your loyalty to this person, at what cost? What is it taking from you? Again, it's so beautiful to have connections that have been with you in different seasons, but at what cost? And with the energy of Cancer moon trining Venus and Scorpio, it could also just be acknowledging how it is that you've evolved and transformed through the years. Mercury retrograde, which starts tomorrow, does tend to make us walk down memory lane, so to speak. And so you could be reading old journals or looking at photos and contemplating, gosh, I've lived all of these lives in this one life. Like, my lore goes crazy. On Sunday, November 9th, Mercury stations retrograde in Sagittarius at 11:02 a.m. PST. And this one may be a bit of a doozy because it does start in a sign that it is not favored within. So a lot of people, for lack of a better word, could be talking out of their butt, so to speak. People could be loud and wrong right now on a soapbox, talking about this or that, allowing their points to be expressed in a lens around, well, this is the way that it is. And I believe that this is the case, so you should believe this is the case. Like making statements and persuading individuals in ways that are not rooted in logic and fact. Keep in mind, Mercury as a planet is around logic and fact. And within in Sagittarius, this is around belief and ethics, and this is the right thing to do and the wrong thing to do, which we all have opinions on. Like, it's very subjective. But the danger of this is saying this is a fact, that this is the right thing and this is how it is. And there could be an energy of making certain appeals that are not rooted in reason, that are not rooted in logic. Arguments that are very much around, well, everybody knows that A, B, and C, or this is obviously the right thing to do, where it's like, that is subjective. Mercury as a planet is more concerned with things that are objective, the stats, the analytics. And Sagittarius is around the big picture that we paint and the ethical arguments that we bring forward. And it's also important not to let your mouth run away from you in a sense, or on talking a big game and not being able to back it up, or being overly optimistic to your own detriment. Like, it kind of gives the energy. Have you ever been like late to start a project and then you send an email back around, okay, I'm almost done. Then you go to open like a doc in connection to the project and you have to request access and you're like, shoot, I should have not said that I would have this done within an hour. Like, now it's so clear that I did not even start. Like, your mouth could get you into trouble around that. So you've been warned. Okay. You've been warned around the Mercury retrograde of it all. And I would also encourage you to leave extra time as it relates to any travel that you go about. This can absolutely bring travel delays, especially with it stationing retrograde in Sagittarius. Even just being mindful as it relates to regular travel that you do. Like, Sagittarius is very optimistic. And so there could be an energy around, oh, it only takes 10 minutes to get to work. Does it really? It only takes 2 hours to do that. Really? Does it? Definitely give yourself a buffer. Give yourself a Mercury retrograde buffer. If you think it's going to take you 10 minutes to get to work, give yourself 20 minutes. If you think it's going to take you 2 weeks to do that project, say that it's going to be done in 3 weeks. Give an estimate on when something will be done. Make sure you can open the doc before you start talking out of your butt. Okay, you've been warned. Okay, you've been warned about this Mercury retrograde. Typical advice always stands. Be mindful as it relates to technology. Technology could really be glitching quite a bit. The Cancer moon trines the Scorpio sun. So this should be like a nice cozy day. Maybe if you live somewhere cold, to make a soup, to have a blanket, to give yourself some comfort as well as some depth. You could even, like, if it's a rainy day, like romanticize the rainy day or the stormy weather or something like this. You may feel a little sensitive, like I said, Mercury retrograde is a walk down memory lane. Cancer moon is very sentimental as well. Cancer moon square Chiron in Aries at 10:52 p.m. So going to bed and thinking what shoulda, coulda around the past, and really wanting and craving that sense of belonging, and altogether wanting a sense of belonging within your own life. There's parts of the vibe check sitting in the boardroom around this life doesn't even feel like my own. And this company used to be my people. It used to be my team. Cancer moon loves people who feel like home and teams that feel like family. And again, that can make us remain very loyal to situations that we have outgrown. And sometimes we can feel the pain around, I don't have a sense of belonging here. These used to be my friends and they're not. This used to be a company that I felt really in deep alignment with, and it's not. And it can make me feel this sense around, where do I belong? I could feel like I'm astray around, if this is not my people, where are my people? But with Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, this is also like an internal review. So if there are elements where it's like, I don't feel like I belong here, this doesn't feel like home anymore, this doesn't feel like my life altogether, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is coming back to the drawing board of sorts, or coming back to the big picture around what's important to me. Like, what are my ethics? What is my philosophy? Where am I growing? Where do I want to grow? What do I want to experience? Sometimes we're in a roaming phase. Sometimes it's energy around, I know this is not for me, and I don't know what it exactly is, but I know that I'm determined to go in that direction. And I'm determined to build a life that truly feels like my own, where I have that sense of belonging, not being a part of a team where it's like, my values are so different than yours and my ethics are so different. And when people learn that I'm on this board, like, I feel embarrassed because it's such in misalignment with who I truly am. I'm someone who really believes that when we go in the direction of what has meaning for us, where it is that we feel we can make a difference, what we feel our life's work is, I do feel the universe does reward us. And sometimes there are pangs of loneliness around that, around leaving environments that we've outgrown where we no longer belong. And so Cancer moon squaring Chiron on Sunday evening can absolutely be the feels. You could have a little bit of Sunday scaries. You could be thinking about the past. But remember, Mercury may be retrograde, but it is in Sagittarius. So there's elements of Mercury retrograde that feels like when you draw a bow back in order to slingshot an arrow forward, where yes, there's a review, there's an introspection, there's an auditing, so to speak, with Mercury retrograde, but it's in order to move forward and to move into the right direction, a direction that genuinely has meaning for you and is genuinely in alignment with your philosophy, your ethics, so to speak. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I move with intention. What you're going to want to be mindful about this week is not flying off the handle with Mars opposite Uranus, where it's okay to be fired up about things, mad about things, angry about what is transpiring. That could be fuel that you put towards fighting for what you believe in. But you've got to move with intention. You cannot allow yourself to be distracted by things that do not move you in that particular direction. Remember what you are fighting for. Remember the bigger vision that you are working towards, that you are building towards. We can get very distracted within this life. We can make people and things the enemy that are really not the enemy. We can allow our path and our destiny to be sideswiped by merging with things that are really not in our highest and best good, and not listening to our intuition when it's time to release it, when it's time to let something go. And so it's important this week to move with intention, especially with Mercury getting ready to station retrograde. There can be more mistakes and errors. And it's just important before you do anything, why am I doing this? What am I doing? As well as really striving to do one thing at a time. With this mutable energy in the cosmos, sometimes we're very scattered. We go in the direction of what's catching our attention or what feels exciting. Again, let the Sagittarius energy inspire you in terms of spontaneity and adventure, but it's really coming back to, what is my intention here? And even like starting each day, what is my intention? What is my aim? What is my vision? Where it's okay to have detours so long as you're still driving in the right direction. Like if you're on a road trip, it's okay to go see this little town and go to this destination, but you do want to make sure that you're going somewhat in the direction of where it is that you really want to go. And so it just feels like energetically there could just be all sorts of distractions this week where you could get all riled up and mad about this that's in the news. And you could be all riled up about this issue at work that has you all heated. So much so that you can look back at the week and be like, what was even accomplished? What did I do? What was my intention? What was my why? When in doubt, come back to your why. When you're riled up, when you're incensed, take a moment to breathe. You can absolutely put that towards your aim, towards your why, fighting for change, but just ensuring that you are not allowing your energy to be dissipated by distraction or even people, institutions, corporations that sometimes can benefit by you being in a very angry, agitated state or you being in a very fearful state. Come back to center and move with intention. So if you made it to the end of the forecast, go ahead and comment below something red. Comment below a red emoji, whatever red emoji you like, or use the word red within a sentence. That's just a game that we play to let me know that you made it to the end. Hopefully none of us are seeing red this week with Mars opposite Uranus. This could be random flashes of anger. So hopefully this shows up more in a red hot passion sort of way around moving with intention towards what it is that we really desire and what it is that we really value. So I'll see you again, same time, same place next week. Reminder, please comment below some nonprofits that are near and dear to your heart. I will put the main ones that I see into a poll, and I would so appreciate if you could vote on the nonprofits that you would like to be the focus of the next 2 weeks of Galactic Givebacks. But until then, drink lots of water and stay magical.